I manage documentation at Privacera, and I'm a champion for software accessibility in general, as well as at work. My team has a massive undertaking. I joined the team in August, and there was a huge documentation debt, which I guess is the only thing I can call it, just like a tech debt. We have a lot of things to cover that are undocumented. We've been working on fixing errors in the documentation, and we're just starting on a full-fledged API documentation program. My role is, in terms of our API documentation, is mentoring the writer who's leading the program. I've been doing this for a really long time, and some of the members of my team are newer, and they're looking to me for mentoring in terms of writing. And some team members want more mentoring in terms of developing their old management skills. And I do a lot of editing for everybody, and I try to help set direction and worry about the style guide and all that kind of manager stuff. Documentation has become much more focused on developers. Technical writers are expected to be more technical than we used to need to be. Documentation is no longer about describing the UI. The idea is that UI should be self-explanatory at this point. And so documentation is there to tell users what's going on behind the scenes or underneath what they need to do. And it's also become important that documentation reflect the user journey, as opposed to, here's what we want to show you. It's more about, we know you're using our product this way, so that's the way the documentation will take you. I think style guides are incredibly important. I think they should be a collaborative effort among the team. I don't like top-down style guides. I created what I considered a draft version with my opinions, and I'm always open to people having different opinions from me, and we'll talk about it. And our style guide, frankly, defaults to, if we don't have anything in here, we're using the Google Developer Style Guide because theirs is excellent. I talk to people, and more importantly, I listen to people. I also read, conferences are really the best place. Like, you get to talk to people that are currently working, and the people that bother to go to conferences are people that really care and want to share their ideas. In recent years, API days write the docs, and I actually got to speak a few years ago, right before COVID, or shortly before COVID, at the Czech Forum on Women in Technology. That was really exciting. I would love for more people in the industry to understand how important documentation is, how it needs to be written in as part of the development process, not an afterthought to be tacked on later. I would like people to understand that it should really be treated as part of the product, not a separate entity to get done when you have time. Well, I actually studied liberal arts, so I can't tell you anything. It didn't really have anything to do with school. Like, all my tech knowledge came later. Most of it's been learned on the job. I've had a couple of really good mentors in my career. Both were managers who stayed mentors afterward. And I really like to pay that back. Mentoring is actually very important to me. It's a big part of what I do. I like to look at the developer portal awards, the nominees and the winners, to see what's going on. API the Docs is a great conference for that. Again, I know which companies have what I think are the best API documentation sites, and I just go there and read. And even if it's not a product I use, if I can figure out something about the API, then I know their site is really good. Right now, I'm actually focused on learning about data lakes. And I'm just at the beginning of learning that, but it's important to what my company does and to what my industry is doing. We're doing a few really interesting things. We're converting our documentation set to structured documentation. The products that my company makes, they do a lot of different things and connect to a lot of different other products. And we really like the idea of being able to combine docs for customers based on the way they use it, to follow the user journey. And along with that, I personally have been redesigning our documentation website so that it matches our new doc architecture. We're starting a full-fledged API documentation program where we're going to have deep API docs where the API can even be tested from inside the doc. There are two answers to that question, and they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, but they should really know about structured documentation. I almost call it the wave of the present, but it's really a really good way to provide useful documentation to your customers. And they should also, frankly, know about APIs, because that's where all the good jobs are. At Privacera, in fact, we're currently in the process of converting our documentation set to structured doc. And there's a learning curve to it, but I think we're all finding it worth it. That's a really interesting question, because 20 years ago, I already had several years of experience in this field. I kind of fell into technical writing. I had been a Unix sysadmin before that. And I think my advice to myself would have been to possibly even when I was young enough to still be able to do so, maybe just to go back to school and learn something. I wish I had known about human computer interaction at the time. I'm not even sure that was a thing then, however, because that's really fascinating to me. Communication. It's it's great to be a power coder, but it's also really important to be able to communicate with people. And I think sometimes as developers, we forget that. Every company has a place for the power coders, but if you want to get out in the world or move up in your company, human conversations and human interactions are really important. We are a really welcoming and supportive community. You can reach out to any of the mentors on the webpage, and we will be happy to talk to you. We will make time. That's what we're here for.